Now, we'll cover two things today in a very, very short time, again, just 1 hour, which is trends and also Flourish. So first off, we'll look at trends. Then later on, we'll take a look at a few visualizations of Flourish, simply because of the fact that, on Flourish, if you have an account, you'll notice that they have dozens of templates. So it's a lot, which is why we're just going to focus on a few which may be relevant for displaying electoral results. So once again, for those of you who have been joining us, you would know that my name is Trina. I'm the Southeast Asia Teaching Fellow for Google News Lab, which we are basically a branch under Google News Initiative. And one of the things that we do that News Lab focuses on is on running training, which is to fulfill our first mandate, elevate and strengthen the quality of journalism. And we do all of these trainings. News Lab does it for free. We do not charge any newsrooms or journalism associations to run these trainings. So as usual, there is also a training platform. And this training platform, you can basically do it at your own pace, and you can check out the modules there. So as I mentioned, these are the things that we'll be covering today. So it's a lot. So do bear with me if I speed through once again. But as always, you can ask questions either in chat or at the end. We'll have like 5 to 10 minutes of Q&A, and you can also unmute yourself then. So first off, we'll look at Google Trends. Google Trends is actually this tool that utilizes whatever that people are searching for on the internet. So because it's a massive search engine, everyone uses it. And so therefore, Google has a lot of data, right? So what does it do with this bulk of data? What it does is that it started this Google Trends project, which basically looks at the way people search by identifying them via topic, time, location, and language. So well, I just also wanted to let you guys know that it's all anonymous. So therefore, don't worry, Google's not spying on you because we do not do a demographic breakdown. So we do not know the gender or the age or the exact IP address of what this person is searching for. What we probably would know is that within the vicinity of Kuala Lumpur, for example, there are maybe 20,000 people who search today for a topic or any mentions of Ismail Sabri, for example. So that could be that would be the kind of data that Google would be able to have. But the way that it does is that how it presents the trends data is that it would index it from 0 to 100 in terms of search interest. And the reason why we don't present it in volume, simply because of the fact that we understand that different areas will have different population size. So it's not fair to show basically the search trend via volume, because if we do that forever, within Malaysia itself, Kuala Lumpur will always have the highest search trend as compared to other states, simply because of the population size. So it's not exactly a fair barometer. And so what we do is that we try to index it and to between 0 to 100. So basically what it means is that among all the searches that happens within a particular area today, most of it centers on perhaps Muhyiddin Yassin. And so that any search term that has Muhyiddin Yassin you would see that trend higher on trends as opposed to other topics. So basically, when we normalize this, what this does is that the process allows us to compare the relative popularity of different topics in comparison to the whole entire search results. Okay. And so what we also do is that we also categorize them, other search terms, and we call them topics simply because of the fact that it would be language agnostic. So meaning anyone who searches for the word coronavirus, for example, in multiple languages would still be bracketed under as one search term under the topic virus. Now, if you were to just type coronavirus on trends and then select this search term instead of the topic virus, what it does is that it will only show you results of people searching coronavirus in Roman alphabets in this exact same wording. So if there's a misspelling, it doesn't account for it. So say, for example, if you were to look for, okay, good example in Malaysia would be Muhyiddin Yassin. He is also known as Muhyiddin Yassin. Now, if you were to look for Muhyiddin Yassin and you select search term, they will only show you results in exact same spelling, Muhyiddin Yassin. And if there's any typo, as in you type in 1S instead of 2S, they will only show you that. So, but whereas if you were to choose the topic, right, Muhyiddin Yassin, and you choose the topic, it will show you those that include typo errors. People who search and have typos, people who search for Muhyiddin Yassin will also be lumped under this topic. So it gives you a more precise reading of the trends that people are searching within a particular area. So the only exception that I would see that for this particular topic is that if you were to have a relatively new term, which Trends has not bracketed under a topic. Say, for example, Kerajaan Gagal, it's trending on Twitter and whatnot, but like they do not have it grouped under a topic. So then you would then have to select search term. So Trends also provides real-time data and long-term data. What it means is that real-time data covers the last 7 days, whereas the long-term data goes back all the way to 2004. So you can actually play around with it later on. I'll show it to you on Trends site. Now, when you actually go into Trends and you start searching for stuff, this is what you're going to see. You're going to be seeing this layout whereby you can go up to 5 different search terms for comparison. That's the maximum if you were to use the Trends site. And then you can also see that you can select the person's name, and then you obviously select the one with the topic, which puts there. He's a former Malaysian minister. They haven't updated it yet because our political changes have been quite rapid. So Trends has not updated the titles yet for Malaysian politicians. But you will see that they will be placed under a topic. And then you can also select your location. You can select the time frame. You can select categories, and you can also select be it you want a web search, or YouTube only, images, or Google Shopping, or news. But I would usually leave it as all categories and web search as well. And as I mentioned earlier, the largest volume of search is always represented as 100 because we have normalized and indexed it between 0 to 100. So 0 meaning, or like 0 to 1 meaning there's very low search interest for this particular person in comparison to the total number of searches that occurred on that day. And of course, you can also download, embed, or share this particular chart that you get from Trends. And I will show you how later on, once you download the data from Trends, you can actually then use it on Flourish to visualize it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you quickly. This is what happens when you go to a Trends page. You would see this. If by default your location is US, then you just need to select and change it to Malaysia. And then you can start off here by selecting a search, any search term. And immediately it tells me, if I just type his first name, immediately it tells me that it would tell me that, this is probably what I'm looking for, the Prime Minister of Malaysia. It's not updated yet. And so I wouldn't select search term. I would select this topic. And then by default, it will show me the past 12 months. And so what I can do is I can actually then just select whichever time frame that I want. I can even go to custom time range. And I can see that there is interest by sub-region. So I can see what the search interest is according to states. And I could also select city. And you'll be able to see which city has been looking up for information on Google search related to Muhyiddin Yassin. And you can then also see related queries and related topics. So these are the topics that are tied whenever people look for Muhyiddin Yassin. These are also the queries that they will look for, the questions that they would type into Google search. And these are the topics that that will be tied to the things that that will pop up in relation to Muhyiddin Yassin as well. So this would be quite interesting to see, especially when there's rapid changes during an election as well. So you can also then narrow it down by state. So right now it shows I selected Malaysia at first, right? So under Malaysia, I can see that there is an arrow, and I can choose the state. And so I'll be able to see according to, I could even change this to a political party. And I'll be able to see how it has trended. There's not enough data here, unfortunately, for city-wise, but sub-region, not much data right now. I guess because it's pretty quiet in Sarawak right now, but like whenever there is an election later on, you could then use this and you'll probably see something when there's more such interest towards the state. So I mentioned just now, you can also basically share, embed, and download the data, right? So when you want to embed a live chart, you can actually just select the embed option, and you can either choose to tick or untick this keep data updated. What it does is that if you click keep data updated, then the visual will keep updating on your website as well. So say, for example, I will just go back. Okay, so example, this is what I want. So if I were to just go to embed, now right now it's showing me the last 12 months. So if I unclick this, it's going to stop on this particular date and it would not update on my site. So all I have to do is just copy this script onto my website, and this chart would show as is like this, right? Sarawak past 12 months. But if I hit keep data updated, what's going to do is that every time it would just keep showing me the last 12 months, meaning that you will see that, you know, this would move, this chart will keep moving, and then this part here will keep shrinking because it will only show the exact last 12 months. So you can also get the daily and real-time trends on Google Trends. There is this part whereby if I were to click on these 3 little bars on top left, I open the menu, I can see, click on trending searches, because I think I selected Sarawak is too micro, so I need to select the country. Let me just go back to Malaysia, and I will be able to see daily search trends in Malaysia. And you can just see most of the time, this would have sports, because for some reason, that's what most people search for every day, sports, especially football. Real time, and then you can just see the last 24 hours. And when there is a particular huge incident, like, you know, when there was when Muhyiddin stepped down, then obviously that trended on Google Trends. So another way is you could also hit subscription if you want to get updates into your email. So you could select by, you know, you could have your, you could just click on the add bar, and you could just go by topic, you could go by region, and then how often do you want? Once a week, once a month? And if you also, if you want to get trending searches emailed to you, you can also do that. And so if this helps you, if you're monitoring stuff and you don't want to keep going to the Google Trends page, you can have it sent via email to you. So what trends can show during major events such as national elections is that during national elections, basically because if the geographic area is huge enough, because it's a national elections and it's a big event, what Google Trends would do is that they will have designated trends page just for elections. So this is what they did last year for the US elections. You can see that they divided it according to candidates. And then they look at, you know, what are the top issues that people are searching for in relation to election season, and also like the queries that are coming up with regards to the election. And they also look at search interest according to states. Smaller scale, they did something similar, but of course, the site was much more simplified. Was during last year's New Zealand election as well. New Zealand also had the elections, and this was what you would be able to see in their elections page for New Zealand. So once the election is over, it gets taken down, so you won't be able to view it. So all these pages are not viewable anymore. So there are 5 ways for you to use Google Trends to cover an election. Basically, the first is to use Google data to see how people are responding in real time to an event. And this can be useful on, say, the candidacy registration day and also on polling day. So you can then look at, which candidate trended the most on real time. And then you can also, secondly, you can look at using Google data to show a longitudinal view of how an election has shifted. So you can see during when certain candidates have a spike on Google Trends during the campaigning day or on polling day. So it can also then indicate a search interest change among the people, right? Suddenly this person's name is trending when it used to not trend as high. So then a journalist then can use this as a story idea to go and find out why is this person trending so high suddenly. So is there any breaking news event involving the politician? Was there a scandal that happened or an accident or incident that happened? Or has conversations shifted among the electorate to reflect changes in support? So then this would provide a good tip for the journalists to then go and dig out what is happening on the ground. And sometimes trends could also give clues to non-news breaks. So say, for example, if there is a rumor or a claim that is going around in social media or messaging apps, the first thing that people would do is that they'll probably Google it up to see whether it's true or not. So then, obviously, then you see that maybe there is a certain search interest that spiked out of nowhere. And that could, but there is nothing, there's no news break related to that particular topic, then that could be an indicator that something is going on as well. So third is when you want to use Google data to see how people around the country are searching for, say, political issues, candidates, and parties. So this is useful when you're trying to understand why some political parties tend to trend higher in certain states, or if there's an increase in interest, say, for example, in the Sarawak state election, from people living in different parts of Malaysia from other states. So, and the fourth one is using Google data to answer the questions that people are searching for. So we mentioned that, that Google shows what people are most curious about, right? Because you usually tend to go first to Google to find out what you want to know, right? When you see something on the internet. So if you can capture those questions, the queries that they have, then the journalist can then methodically answer and provide information to what readers most want to know, because it's something that they're curious about and you're able to answer it. So it's good for news outlets to know, what kind of explainer stories are needed based on the queries that people are searching for related to the election. And finally, the last one is that, we, at the very simplest of all, we can see how issues or candidates compare and rank on Google search by using trends. While we are not in a prediction game and we don't know, trends does not predict a winner, it only shows such interest. But you can actually try to look at patterns based on trends to see how things are changing within an election. So what Trends also offers is that they have a GitHub page and they are basically ready to set data. Unfortunately, there's not much data related to Malaysia on GitHub, Google Trends GitHub, but it's worth trying out. Maybe it gets constantly updated. So maybe in the future, you might get something that's tied to Malaysia. You can also sign up to a Trends newsletter. I do sign up to it, and I think that a lot of the daily content from the newsletter is very US related, but sometimes they do have world issues covered on the Trends newsletter. And I mentioned earlier that on the Trends site, you can only have up to 5 different comparisons, right? If that's not sufficient enough and you want more granular data, it's always better to email the Trends team at newslabtrends@google.com, simply because of the fact that they are open to collaborating with newsrooms. So if there is a particular trends-related project that you want to do that you think that would be good for your story idea that you have, but you're not able to get that kind of data just from the Trends website, you can always email them. Now, one example, which is unrelated to elections, but that was done by Washington Post. last year, and they team up with Google Trends is. So they use this. This is one story that they did, that they did using with Trends, that they actually tried to match up actual COVID cases to areas and basically states that people are actually searching for, say, doctors, COVID-19 symptoms, and anything related to like questions about COVID. So like they did this story and they actually collaborated with Trends. So it's quite an interesting thing that, obviously they would not be able to do this because it requires a lot of granular data if they were to just use the Trends website. So they actually match the data of infections with the data in searching for like loss of smell and loss of taste. So the other story that Washington Post did, which you can also try to look it up, is that during the first lockdown in April last year, what they did was they collaborated Trends to get the data to search for how people within the first week of April in 2020, what were people searching for on Google Trends versus what were they searching for in that same week in 2019, which is obviously very different, because last year people were all looking up on how to, buy masks, how to make their own face masks, whereas as opposed to 2019, people are searching for like, how to kill your dragon. But that's, if we can probably get a lot more data if we were to look at national elections, but when it comes to state elections, obviously it's a much more smaller scale. So how are we going to creatively look for data on Trends when it comes to state elections? So there's one way to go about this, is that you can actually have a blank slate and to just see what is trending in the particular state on Google Trends. How you're going to do this is that, okay, let me just go back to Trends. So I will just enter a random search term because I need to go into the page first. And what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to change it to the state that I want. You can keep it in Malaysia if you want to. It's the same anyway. So, but if you want to narrow it down to a state, you can do that. And then maybe like I want to do like the last 90 days. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this so it's blank. Then I'll be able to see what other search queries in the last 90 days in Sarawak, and what other search topics that people have been looking for in Sarawak as well. So this is a good way to see what is trending on Google Trends in a particular area, besides using that, that trending searches tab, which is mostly football. So I think this is a bit more useful, and you can then also get story ideas from here as well. Okay, I'll move on to Flourish. We don't have much time left. I'll just play this very short video and just to give you an overview of what Flourish is.
Flourish makes it easy to turn your data into beautiful on-brand visualizations, presentations, and interactive stories. It's simple. First, choose a template. Next, upload your data. And finally, use the settings to make it your own. From basic charts with added magic to rich data explorers that no other tool can create, to gorgeous data-driven maps, Flourish brings your data to life without coding, which leaves you free to amaze colleagues with stunning animated data presentations, or to engage audiences with data graphics on your website or on social media.
So that gives you a very quick overview of what Flourish does. Now, the reason why we recommend Flourish is because it's free. It doesn't cost any money, so anyone can create a free account. You can also request for a premium account under Newsroom Access. How you can do it is that you can go to Flourish's page. You can go all the way down. There is this Newsrooms there. You hit this and you can then request for Newsroom Access, so that account can be shared within different colleagues in a newsroom. And with the premium account, the difference is that you're able to customize a few other extra features, and on top of having your visualization set to private, and also integrating, basically importing direct data from Google Sheet into Flourish, as opposed to manually copy and pasting data from your table onto Flourish. So that's the difference. with a premium account and non-premium account. So all of you who have created your free account now, every time you publish any visualization in Flourish, it is a public visualization, so anyone can search for it. Now, if you want to make it private, then you got to get newsroom access. I mentioned earlier how if you go into Flourish main page, once you set up your account, you go into new visualization, you see that there are a lot of templates. It's really, really a lot. And obviously, we can't cover all of it today. I'll just show you a few. First off is that, we talked about trends earlier and how we can get data from trends, and we can actually download that data. So say, for example, this is a simple thing that I did using trends data to just compare different politicians on Google Trends. And I just did it in Malaysia last 30 days, and I extracted the data by downloading it, and you give me a CSV file. So what I did was I copied that data from a CSV file onto a Google Sheet, and I'm able to see this. Let me just open that spreadsheet so that you guys can have a look. So what happens is that when I have it downloaded, it is in this format as it's in a vertical table. Now, if you look at, and I want to create, say, a line chart race so that I can see how different politicians trended differently over time. What I'm going to do is, if you hit on new visualization, if there's a new account, you see it's blank, you just hit on new visualization, and then you can scroll down and you can look for line chart race there. You can select the line chart race, and I'm just going to open the one that I've already done so that you guys can have a look. So what you're going to see is that when you open a new visualization, you have dummy data. So let me just go back to just show you guys how the dummy data looks like. So the great thing about trends is that you don't need to be you don't need to really take a lot of time to figure it out, because they have dummy data. So any visualization that you click will have dummy data. So for example, I click this line chart race, and I will see that there is a ready-made visualization here already, right? And if I click on data, it would show me what the rows and columns are supposed to be. So I know that, okay, the x-axis, which is the change over time, I need to show this, it's where the x-axis is supposed to be, which is all on the horizontal side. But when I show you what I have here, this is the one that I downloaded from Trends. It's all a vertical. So I need the dates to be aligned on the horizontal side. Now, how can I do this? There is this trick on Excel called transpose. So what you got to do is you just got to hit equals transpose, open bracket. And then what I'm going to do is that I know that the first cell is A3. So I'm going to do A3 double dot to the next cell, the last cell that I want is E32. Okay, 32. And then I close bracket, hit enter, and then I'll get my entire table now transposed onto from a vertical format to a horizontal format, which is what I want, because when I want to copy this onto Flourish, I know that all my dates have to be in this format. So what I basically did was, okay, after I've done the transposing, I copied my data, like all the dates, I copied it onto Flourish. Okay, and then I just got to make sure that, because it's very, very long, so the Flourish will keep auto creating new columns on the right. So you just got to make sure that you're just going to expand this so that you guys can see more stuff. So you can see that the score columns, okay, I would have to end with basically, sorry, it's ends with AF. And it starts from column D. And so then I could then have this name column, each person's name, the politician. I could even then also filter it by party, okay, and have it here, B column as a filter. I can also insert a photo of them and have it as a C column, and there, image column, column C. So then what I'm gonna, I can also have captions if I want to. So I just need to put in the dates. So maybe from like, say I could just have like from 31st of July to 3rd of August. I could do that. I could then just need to copy the dates. To of August. And then I could put a caption here. To step down. Okay, and then if I want, I could even add image. And then so then I could then put here stage to show, stage to hide, and then what is the text? And then if I have an image, I can have an image. And let me just replay this. There, you can see that it popped up. So you can also add captions into this. So then this visualization, how you play around is this with it is that you can select your own theme. Okay, obviously it's a no theme, so because I'm a free account. So I could then play with the scoring type. I could also have the chart size. And then I could play with the controls. How do I want the controls to look like? Do I want to have the rank scores toggle visible or hidden? Okay, I could do this if I don't want them to show. I want the replay button to be visible. I could also select play with colors. And this is the part I'm going to show you guys how to select colors. So they have different palettes on Flourish, right? Now, if you have a newsroom account, then you can have this customization whereby you create your own color palette so that it is in line with your newsroom colors. That's if you have newsroom account. So for the free account, you don't get that. You just get to choose whatever color palette that they have here on Flourish. What I can do though, if using my free account, is that I can select maybe a color palette, and then I can then edit the colors by using this custom override key. So the good thing about Flourish is that you have all those little question marks. So when you mouse over it, it actually gives you directions on how to use it. So it tells me here that I need to then, put in which title that I want to category that I want to then change the color. And just need to put double dot and say either the hex code or the RGB code, or just simply put red, blue, or whatever. So I here in this example, I use the hex code. So I just put there, I want Isarbi to be this color, and I just put Asmin Ali as this color, Muhyiddin as this color, and Hamza Zainuddin as this color. So you can create your own as well if you don't have the custom, if you don't have the newsroom access to create your own custom color palette, then this is what you can do. I'm sure if you can get the color code for that is in line with your newsroom, everyone probably has their own, internally you will have your own color codes, your designers will have it, so you can use those color codes and just copy and paste it, and you will be able to change the colors. You can also obviously amend the line style, you can change the width, opacity of it, and then, what do you want the labeling to be like? The XY axis, do you want it to show or not? And then obviously we would need like a header, like a title. So you can just show Google Trends data on Malaysian politicians. And then I can have a subtitle as well if I want. And then I can have a footer. And this is where usually people put the source name. Google Trends, and then I could even then just put in the URL, and you would see that it changes here. So people can just click on this and they'll go straight to the URL. If you have the direct URL of the visualization, obviously you can just copy that, it'll be like / da 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 da. So yeah, and you can also play around with the animation speed. Let me just, under animation. So for example, the original data, the dummy data is actually pretty slow. So what I did was I speed it up to 300. But maybe I think that this is too fast. I move it a bit slow to 500, and I just hit replay. And you can see that This is the speed. I could even change it to like 1,000, so then you guys can see the difference. So it's a much slower. So compared to say 300, there you go. So this is a simple demo on how do you utilize Google Trends data and create a line chart race on Flourish. You can do this also with political parties. Doesn't matter as long as the data comes from Trends. So this is that's it. And so we've done this. Next, we'll look at, okay, very, very quickly, we'll look at Parliament seats. So I think this is a no-brainer. I don't really need to show you guys how to do this. You can just quickly put in the 2016 results and maybe like, and then obviously you then just create a template for 2021, but you just leave it blank. When you have the results, you just put it in. And once you put in the results, I just randomly put in numbers. And so you can see that you can, what Flourish does is that it automatically shows you the seat change. So once you've tallied both sides, both elections. And you can, as usual, you can also do the color override to change the colors to specific colors that you want if you don't want to use a template color. There's another template called cards. And under cards, there is grids, carousel, and I think grids with filter. So there's 3 different templates under cards. So this is the one that I used, carousels, basically that, you could just show very quickly the main political parties that are contesting, or you could also use it to show like, these are the main players in the elections, and you can maybe highlight a few key political figures in the cards, and you can have like their little mini profiles down here. For if you were to use cards function but using grids, that would allow you more space for text at the bottom. So this one's a bit short. Another one is bar chart race. And this can be useful. I've seen a lot of newsrooms, especially in India, they've used this on polling day when election results start to stream in. So then, what it did was, they would then just show as time passes, how many basically seats that each party win. You can also change it to total votes if you want. For this, I actually just use seats. So I will just show you very, very quickly how that one looks like. There. This is a bar chart race. And what I basically did was, if you can see the data site, I just divided it according to party, the coalition. And, if you want to upload either the person's face, if it's a politician, or if it's a political party, upload the party logo. So I just took stuff from Wikimedia Commons because that's free use. And then I just divided it according to time. So it's up to you how you want to narrow it. You can do by hourly, you can do by 15 minutes or half hourly, or every 2 hours, is up to you. So you just need to fill in, as the election results come in, you just need to fill in the data, and then it would just then animate itself, and just make sure that the columns are mentioned correctly here. And then you could just then just play around with this. I mentioned earlier that there's also the captions tool. So that's the same thing with the bar chart race. You can also do this by inserting your own caption. And you can see that being reflected here as well. Now, for this, I just want to highlight that you could then, obviously you could upload data from file. So like, but that's like, if you have an offline Excel data, then you can probably do that. This tool, upload data and merge, is only available if you have the an import from URL. It's only available if you have the premium account. Now, what I can do, obviously, I can then have to, once I'm done, I'm happy with this, I could then have to click on export and publish. Okay, so once I click on publish, they'll ask me if I want password to open. Okay, maybe not, just hit publish, because I'm going to make this public anyways on my website. So then I can then have a look at this, how it looks like by clicking this link, and it will bring me to this visualization that I just did. Now, I could also click on this part, more options, This is where you need to copy the code to put it onto your website. Then you click on select on iframe, because most websites now run on iframe, and you just copy this. And then I can go to, before I upload onto my website, I want to be super duper sure that it is working, that it would not look funky on my website. So I will go to this free website called codepen.io. You don't have to sign up. You just got to click on start coding. And then what you got to do is you just got to paste the iframe code that you copied earlier. And you wait for it. And you can see that this is the visualization that would appear on your website. And if you're unsure, if it works well on mobile or like on tablet, you can just, move your window around to make it more narrow, pull it out to see if it's responsive. And it is. So I know that it works. So if it appears fine here, then it should appear fine on your website as well. All right. Okay. Okay, this is the one that I wanted to show you guys how to do searchable table. Now, with like a state election, when especially the state has many seats, the thing that we see is that usually if on like say a print newspaper, we can never put out all 82 seats because it's just way too long. It takes up a lot of space. But with the internet, the great thing is that you can do a table and you can then make it into a searchable table. And I'm going to show you guys how it looks like. Okay, there. That because so again, this is dummy data. I just randomly put in numbers. So if you see that it's incorrect, that's probably because it is. So the only thing I copied was the last state election winner and the seats. So this, you can see that all 82 seats will be like 6 pages long. So I can just move around to next if I want to see. So this is what you're gonna users can do on your site. They can just move to the next one, or they could just easily search for the particular seat or the Arduino itself. So say for example, I look for Alibidu and I can find him already. What I can also do is that I could do a vote share bar chart of sorts. So like then I could show you like, okay, this is how many votes PH put in, how many votes GPS have. So which is why it's like GPS won or something. And you can also do like a mini line chart. This mini line chart to just show whether there is a change or not, whether the seat is maintained by PBB, or in this case, the seat was won by Pesatu and previously it was someone else. So how it will look like on the back end of it is that I basically just make sure that, hang on, let's see if I can just, so I just basically make sure that, I have my seat, my winner, my party, I just put the different, this PH and GPS because I just wanted to show the bar chart. And this is for this data, I just put it in for my line chart. And so the table values is there, then I just play around with this. Okay, there under mini bar charts. So then it will ask me which column should be part of the bar chart. So I would highlight that is GPS and PH. And then I can name the column. And I can have the bar type. And then same goes for the mini line chart. I can show you that I can basically say that I want 2016 and 2021 should be the columns that I want to use for the line chart. And then I can name the column itself. Yeah, and they also have this option for mobile view if you want it as a table, scroll bar, or if you want it as blocks. So I think the rest is there. Just go back to this. The next one that I want to show is survey. So survey, remember if you followed yesterday's session, Kate mentioned that some of the interesting things that other countries have done with their state elections, especially the example from Straits Times Singapore during Singapore's general election last year, was to categorize them, say, by age, gender, or maybe even their background, if they have a law degree or not. So you can actually do the same. Obviously, it won't be as pretty as the Straits Times Singapore because they actually coded everything on their own. But if you have a coder, you're not able to do something as fancy as that. One easy way to do it is to use Flourish. So I'm going to show the example I did. Again, I randomly created dummy data for this. So the data is probably incorrect. So what I did was I just have this, okay, so then I have under data, I wanted to have different categories for my politicians. So I just wanted to show gender types. Maybe like under a bar that when I mouse over, so sorry, for example, I mouse over for the seat of Puget, okay, the seat is currently held by a male politician from DAP, above age 60, under which coalition, and so these are all the different categories that I've created. What is his actual age, and then number of times contested. Oh, this is a vacancy. Okay, there you go. Under Bacalalan, I can see that Barubian is the MP. So I can play around with what I want to put inside the this little pop-up by having all of it inside my data. So what I did was I wanted to show, it would be interesting to see how many times a politician contested, especially in Malaysia. Most of them are old timers. They've probably contested at least 3 or 4 elections or more. So, and then of course I divided them by seat, the party that they are in, and also it would be interesting to see, which coalition they're in. And then, if, again, another issue that is probably very interesting to note, and it's a common problem, is that, we have a lot of old politicians, in power. So I just want to then, obviously you need to do some legwork, and you need to then identify and put it in your own separate spreadsheet, or Excel or Google Sheet. You have to divide them according to age. So like, are they above the age of 60 or not? And if they're, and then you can do another category. Are there any politicians there who are below a certain age? Another interesting thing is that in Malaysia, people like to jump parties. So maybe you can also try to find out if this particular politician has actually switched parties before. So, and like what else? Are they a new Adun? Have they ever been charged in court? So these are the things that we could probably, and you can come up with many different categories, as many as you want. And so then what I can do is then I can group, divide by, like, say, this group, then by, say, for example, on the start off with gender, then I can see how many female politicians are there, how many female aduns are there, and how many male aduns are there. And then I could maybe like then shade them by coalition. Then, you create more filters. So then I could do this. And then I could size them by, say, age. So you can see the smaller the circle is, the younger they are. And I can compare them by above age 60. So you can always have all these different parameters set. So people can actually play around with it. Or maybe they don't want so complicated. You can just leave all of this blank. I just want to see how many, say, number of times contested, how many politicians above age 60, number of times contested, I think above age 60, yes and no, and the number of times contested is based on the size. Yeah, size by. Maybe if I don't want to do this, I could do by shading. There you go. So that's, just wanted to show you guys this. And then obviously you can play around with the custom overrides if you want, and you could then also switch around the labels and controls and animation. Yeah, animation speed. And obviously, because I have, the moment I change the data, this thing would change from green to yellow. I'll show it to you. So say, for example, I just change this to, say, DAP, and immediately it will detect I have made changes to my table, the data, and so then it will turn yellow. What I need to do is that they'll tell you there are unpublished changes. I need to hit republish. So once I hit republish, And then that will be fine. And then this, if you've already uploaded onto your website, it will automatically be reflected on your website as well. Yep, and so you can combine all the different visualizations that you've done into this story format. So what you can do is, let me just show you the example I did. So under story format is basically you can combine all the different visualizations that you've done by just hitting add new slide, and then you just select a visualization, and I can choose which visualization that I want, and then it will just appear here. So I can do like a storytelling format. So I can start off with like, these are the parties contesting in the state elections. Okay, and then I hit like next. So this is a blank, I can just delete this. Okay, hit next. So then there is little change, and I can add this caption. Okay. And you can see, okay, there are other changes here. This is what I did. And then I could hit next. And then on polling day, what happens? So, and then I could also show, okay, these are the results by seat. And then I could also show this later on. So yeah, and then I could just publish this, and I could have it embedded onto my site, and it will be this story format where people can just keep clicking through and to just see the different visualization I've done all in one. So Flourish actually do publish samples, like they give you ideas, what can be done using their templates. I'll just copy very quickly. Okay. Yep. And then you can also follow Flourish YouTube page for their tea break tutorials. And they also have a blog which they regularly update with, like whenever they have new templates, they will publish on their blog. And also if any templates are being changed, there are updates to it, they also do publish the updates, and they'll put it under this what's new. Okay, before that, so we're heading towards the end. So there's also another feature way that you can play around with, the story format, is that you could also add audio. So I just wanted to highlight this because maybe for some newsrooms you think that, not just having the story format, but also having the story format with audio. I'll show you an example that was done by Turtle. It's not election related, but I just wanted to show you guys how they actually use Flourish for this investigative project that they did. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. That they did a few months ago, I think. Yeah. So this is this visualization. They did it with Flourish. So this is a story format, but when you actually play it, there's audio coming out. You can actually record audio and insert it onto Flourish.
Sejak 13 Februari sampai 28 Maret 2019, kolaborasi nama baik kampus menerima 207 testimoni dari para penyintas kekerasan seksual. 174 diantaranya berhubungan dengan institusi perguruan tinggi. Para penyintas tersebar di 29 kota dan berasal dari 79 perguruan tinggi.
So this is to just give you an idea. When I provide the tip sheet, I will also provide the URL guide from Flourish on how to insert audio into your story format as well. If you don't want to use Flourish, there are two other visualization tools that are pretty popular among newsrooms. One is called Datawrapper, another one is called Everbits. Both Datawrapper and Everbits do give you a free account, but of course, if you want more customization, then I will have to say then you will have to pay for a premium account. So you can actually look at the pricing. Unfortunately, they don't give out free access for newsrooms. Only Flourish does. But a lot of big newsrooms like the New York Times actually use Datawrapper. And so one of the things that you can use the premium account of Datawrapper, if you can afford it, is that you can remove that, that this visualization was done in Datawrapper. Basically remove the Datawrapper logo at the very bottom of it. And you can also customize colors according to your newsroom color palette. So I just wanted to very quickly show you guys some examples. Of course, this was done by the newsrooms themselves. They coded this, but these are some ideas that people have done related to elections. This was done by Washington Post. They did it for the state of California simply because of the fact that there are a lot of Latino speakers there. So then they did it by, they just did a very simple questionnaire which people can fill up, and they can then find out, if you can put in the state, you can put in have you voted or not, and then like, do you want to vote in person or do you want to vote by mail? And they'll tell you when is the deadline for each. And then this was another example done by the Washington Post as well, because there were so many Democrat candidates for the 2020 elections. So they actually categorized each Democratic candidate according to issues and policies that they are campaigning for. This is also on a smaller scale that they did for a council race in DC. And if you look at this, one way that you could replicate this, but maybe not as fancy, but still doable, is using the Flourish cards template, and you can actually do this as well. Yeah, and they also did this where they actually analyzed the social media accounts of all those different candidates and broken it down to the topics that they're talking about. So I've reached the end of today's session.